This club's about winning trophies. I'm inexperienced in a lot of those things.
3-0. Can you believe it?
Almost lost the cup and you win it. The new European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we are bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Ooh, sir, how you doing? How you doing? Throwing it all the way back to December 2018. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first game in charge. Cardiff, we were flying high. Get rid of Jose Mourinho. No more pouty face. It's all about the smiles. How you feeling after watching this game?
Started from the bottom, sir. Caretaker manager coming from Molde. Didn't even give up the Molde job. He was planning on going back. And who would have thought, Ole's at the wheel right from there. Cardiff City, the club he managed to relegation.
Unbelievable story. It's like 3 minutes in, Rashford gets the goal, and you feel like something's turned in on your side. You see Mick Phelan, they brought him back. They're talking about it. Even the NBC sports commentators that like, hey, he might be leaving, going back to Molde at the end of the season. Obviously, we know how that all played out, but it's been a ride, man, with Ole. It's been a lot of ups and downs.
He looked a little younger there.
He did.
He looks thinner, looks less stressed out. I think obviously, it's been a long ride with Ole, but he's learned a lot on the job. You got to give him credit. I mean, he came in, didn't think he was going to get the job. Obviously, did really well. Got the offer, signed it, melted down. Then he rose from the ashes with a great transfer window, like you were talking about. I mean, it's been the ups and downs, but just as I feel like Ole got it right. Global pandemic, sir. COVID-19 coming at you, coming in hot.
I mean, this one fell apart, I think, because the team ran out of steam, weren't fit enough. They were just playing too high a tempo of football, and it all came clattering down at the end of last season. Then we had a rocky start to this one after Pogba got hurt, and then Rashford gets hurt. Then we started cobbling it together. Bruno comes in, Gallo comes in. We're hitting form, dude. 11 games unbeaten. And it looks like everything is going with us. And then COVID just smacks us in the face. And you mentioned it, I think, when we were catching up this week. It's like, I don't think United's going to come back in the same form that they left the season in. This game made me more encouraged because after watching some Bundesliga tune-ups, bro, it's like everyone's coming back out of shape. If that's any indication.
No, exactly. And it makes me nervous, right? Obviously, we'll get to the COVID update. But talking about United coming back, it's almost like we're playing so well that for us to come back like lockstep at that level is unrealistic.
Yeah.
So it's risky for us, and there's so much on the line. So when we're fighting for Champions League, and then all of a sudden we're not going to, players are going to be not fit, and they haven't played together in a while. You're kind of rolling the dice, especially you got to play Tottenham first coming back. It's really anyone's game. Like you look at the betting lines, no one would have an edge really as far as what's going to happen or who's going to start playing well. But it's going to be nervy stuff to the end of the season if they decide to finish it. It looks like it's going that direction. You've mentioned Bundesliga kicking off. I mean, all of our friends on the thread, all the different fans. We got Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, even some Everton fans there talking about Bundesliga, betting Bundesliga. A lot of different lines, sir. How do you feel about watching the Bundesliga?
It was weird. I only catch one match. I catch like the Frankfurt Gundablock. I can't pronounce the name. Don't quote me on that pronunciation.
Sure, we should get you to pronounce it.
Frankfurt. I was like Frankfurt somebody. And it just felt like a tune-up preseason match. Even before they go on tour, it was like everyone looked kind of out of shape, a step off. Kind of what you talked about when United does come back, which looks inevitable. I think every team's going to be in the same position. The one thing that's on our side is like the sentiment was high when we left, and all the players I think are full of confidence. And you see it on Instagram. There wasn't the same cloud hanging over the team because the end of the season or before the hiatus ended on such a high note. So I think like all things considered, United are going to be a good frame of mind. We're going to have competition for spots, right? Everybody's back. Pogba's back, Rashford's back, so he's got plenty of options to choose from, even though Gallo might be snatched from us even before we get back to football. We'll get to that later in the news. But
well, I mean, who would you pick, a Gallo or Rashford? I mean, it's
no Rashford, but you want to have both, right? Because if we're going to be playing all these games in quick succession and the FA Cup and the Europa League, you'd like to have, Viva Gallo as an option.
All right, so quick PSA for the podcast. We've been trying to get you guys more content rather than less. We've been doing the classic rewatches every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. Shout out to everyone who joined. Shout out to everyone who listens to this podcast. If you want to support us, we know it is trying times. You could drop a review on iTunes and enter our free undefeated hoodie giveaway. It takes about 30 seconds to write a review. Drop 5 stars. We'll pick the best one with the cheekiest banner. Wins a hoodie. Whenever Manchester United kick off again, we'll announce it on the podcast. We'll be shipping out a free hoodie, sir. They look great, and you can also buy them in the store if you really want one. You don't roll the dice on doing a review. americanreddevils.com. Click on store. Sir, you just had your son, but you're getting the blog firing back again. You want to give everyone an update on the blog, americanreddevils.com?
No, slow and steady. I've been a little bit, on the back foot with a baby coming, but now I'm getting back above water. So blog is up and running again. We got the great contributors that are getting good content up basically every day. So check it out. And if you're interested in contributing, email us at americanreddevils@gmail.com. A lot of exciting stuff happening. And this is not even, we ain't even getting no football to talk about, bro. We're talking about like a month out, but we still got plenty to do, right? Because I love the updates. The old games are great to watch.
No, absolutely. And, this platform is for fans by fans. We take your suggestions. We take your questions. We want you to post thoughts on the blog. We'll blast them out to all of our followers on Facebook and Twitter. So if you have the itch to write about something or something has got you wrong in the transfer window, feel free to write a rant and we'll throw it up on the blog. You can email us, americanreddevils@gmail.com if you're interested. But, sir, let's jump into the COVID-19 update. Can't wait for these updates.
Everybody's favorite part of the pod.
Not be a thing.
Everybody's favorite part of the pod.
Look, I listened to the last podcast. It was like, it was kind of dire. Last pod was like a little
dark. It was a little dark. I felt a little dark.
A little dark. Sir, you got anything to say about how dark it was?
It was dark, sir. Because, I think the fact that Bundesliga came back this weekend and knock on wood seems to be like an initial success is a good sign. I mean, that could all get thrown into flux if this week a bunch of people show up positive and some of the players have to be quarantined and they shut down teams. But right now, I think that's giving promise and encouragement to the Premier League that, you can do it. It sucks. I mean, the quality of the game is so much lower. No fans, you could tell by the way that they've been training is impacted because they just don't look as sharp. Obviously, they haven't had games, so you're always going to lack that match fitness unless you have actual games to play in. So it feels like the beginning of the season. It feels like preseason again, and then you're added the whole no fans thing, no atmosphere. It's a little weird. It's still a little weird. It's not the same, but we'll take it, right? What else we got?
Yeah, I mean, looking at cases in the UK, you're looking at yesterday was 3,500 new cases. It's kind of down, kind of plateauing, but they just opened up. So I think there's, like we said, this is like it's an onion. So there's multiple tiers here. You have the UK government. They have a say in the game. You have the FA, the EPL clubs. They have a say. And then the players and the managers, right? The Players Association, they're going to have a say. So as far as the UK government, they said this is phase 2. The earliest it can happen is June 1st. But, they have to see positive signs. So, again, a lot of unknowns here, 2 to 3 weeks. That will tell us a lot about where the UK government is going to be thinking about going to phase 2. Then when it comes to the FA and the clubs, they want that money. They need that cheddar, sir, about $1 billion online. So I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure Project Restart does not hit a snag. We saw players returning to training. United's supposed to return to train tomorrow. That'll be huge. Saw some people pull up to Carrington this weekend. I don't know if they're doing testing or exactly what's going on. Obviously, we don't have that insider info in the training ground. So a lot of activity, like you said, Bundesliga, I think that's like a big move where everyone's like saying, if they're playing, why can't we? Again, you're still looking at about a month for a return. They're talking the 12th or the 18th. I believe the TV companies have been told to prepare for Premier League to resume with a live game on Friday, June 12th or June 19th, depending on how the UK government goes. So,
and guess who's the first game?
It's going to be Manchester United versus Tottenham.
Yeah, baby, because you got to have the marquee team who's Manchester United playing that first game back. So we are the guinea pigs. The game that we were supposed to be at, we will not be at. No one will be at. But I think United, it's going to be a huge game for us. It's going to be a huge game for us because Jose was kind of like sinking early at Spurs. Got saved by the hiatus. United was like flying high. So that could be a tough match.
We bought tickets for that match, sir. You want to go?
Going to call it out?
Call it out. Look, so they say the first game will be Friday, either the 12th or 19th, and then there'll be 4 live matches at separate times, Saturday and Sunday. So essentially, you could literally watch all games all weekend, which I think would be amazing. My wife might
Yeah,
kick
the
me
wives
out,
are going to
sir.
love that. You're going to love that.
But either way, look, I'd be excited for football to come back. Still, watching the Bundesliga, the Dortmund match, it's kind of weird, like the no fan thing. I couldn't get over that when we played, again, I always forget.
Lask.
Lask,
bro. Lask.
It feels like a high school game, even though they're like, world-class players. It feels like preseason, like you said, training almost. I would like for them to put in maybe some crowd noise or like come up with some sort of put the FIFA fans in the seats or something.
The mannequins. They're talking about mannequins. They're talking about holograms. But yeah, it's weird. It doesn't even feel like preseason because at least preseason there's fans. It feels like under 23s, like when they go to those big stadiums. They got like 2,000 people. It feels like that because it's so quiet and the space is filled. It's designed for thousands, tens of thousands of people, and did not have that. The quietness is almost eerie.
But given how sort of we were gloom and doom, that was kind of on the case numbers, which that's a tough look for the UK, and there has been an improvement, but we'll see. But really, Germany is the guinea pig. They're the canary in the coal mine. So if everything goes off in Germany, without a hitch, and they don't see spread, they don't see more positive tests amongst these clubs, I think that gives the Premier League the green light to go ahead doing whatever Germany is doing. So, I do have to give a shout out to the Bundesliga for doing this. And, it could be a terrible idea or it could be a great idea. Either way, we're going to know before June 12th or 19th, right? I mean, you look at the 2 to 3 week lag for cases or spread. The players are being tested. We'll know for sure whether it's safe or not. So I think all the bickering right now in the press just kind of speaks to how, Germany seems to have a much better plan. It's much better organized than the UK. Here, it just seems to be more of a shit show. But I do think the determining factor will be so goes Germany, so goes the English Premier League.
Yeah, and the containment factor, right? Because you might be looking at a situation where the Bundesliga has it totally contained, no outbreaks, and then all of a sudden Premier League gets players back in the fold and they have outbreaks just in training. So it's going to be very interesting to watch on a day-to-day and week-by-week basis because there's basically a month between the outside date, June 19th, of when we could see Premier League action. So a lot can happen between now and then. So it could go right back to doom and gloom real quick.
But the word is apparently they have to be able to continue playing even if there's a positive test.
Yeah.
Like that's how committed they are, is basically saying if we're going to restart it, that even if somebody tests positive, it's kind of like man down, keep going.
It's inevitable, dude. Because someone's going to get it. There's like no way,
Exactly, yeah.
Unless they did like the camps, like Olympic style, and have everybody quarantined away from their family for a month while they just play football games. Someone's going to get it. So it's kind of inevitable. They have to be ready to just roll with it. And what are they doing? They just like throw them into quarantine. So it's like you're out. You can't come back to training. I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean that could determine the league. Imagine if Liverpool, like Mo Salah goes down, a bunch of all-stars go down, Liverpool sink the league. So it'd be great.
That would be great. Don't hold your breath.
Assuming everyone's safe at the end of the day. Obviously, we talked about that onion, players and managers. So this is like everyone agrees. UK government, like, okay, we're going to open up. The FA, EPL clubs are like, all right, Project Restart, let's do it. Now I guess the players are chirping, sir.
Not happy.
Essentially, sorry, what did you say?
Not happy.
They are not pumped on this. And I guess the best source I have on this was Jonathan Northcroft from the Sunday Times. If you know the Sunday Times in the UK, they don't print noise. He basically says one of the problems I'm hearing, quote, is there's a sense that there's not a clear roadmap from the players and managers being set out by the Premier League. They had clear planning in Germany from the start, close contact with the government, training protocols established quite early, and the UK is still basically figuring all that out on the fly. He also goes on to say the planning has to be clear and there has to be more agreement to get where Germany is. With all the health risks and uncertainty, players and managers feel they're not even being told what the road ahead is. A couple I spoke to this week saying they're being asked to return to training, but what date are they working towards playing, and can they have full contact training, yes or no? So there's a lot of kind of questions. It's being put on the clubs to kind of get back, and then they're kind of figuring everything out on the fly, which kind of speaks to why the UK is in a different place than Germany. A bunch of players have come out and just said, hey, this isn't a good idea. Rooney, Sir Waza being one of them, he has that column in the Sunday Times. He feels they're being pushed to return too quickly. He says, I'm desperate to train and get playing again, but it feels like England is being pushed to return too soon. He says our government says people can return to work, but only with social distancing in the workplace. And that doesn't work in football, right? So what do you make of Waza? I mean, that's some common sense.
I mean, he's speaking in a position where he doesn't have to play in order to provide for his family. I think he's got a solid nest egg set up. Some of the players are not in the same position, but he's right. It's like he's just calling it like it sees it. He's an older player. He's been around the league for a long time, and he's just saying, "It's probably not ready. You're pushing us back
I don't know,
into the fire."
Colleen a lot of diamonds after his.
He's got a lot of making up to do. He's got a lot of making up to do. He's getting a lot of gifts, a lot of sorry gifts.
She's got a lot of ice.
But he's right. I mean, he's right.
Ice.
Of course, they're going too soon. But it's like the nature of the beast. There's so much money at stake that they're going to rush because they got to rush because they got to get the next season going because they got another $1 billion at stake. So it's like you cannot stop the money train, and that's just the nature of the beast, baby. It's unfortunate. It was always going to be the case where the players are getting pushed in too early. They're the ones who are really at the front lines, and obviously they're in no push because they're still getting paid for the most part.
So two other players of note, obviously we talked about a few others who spoke out, but this week Troy Deeney said he's not going to put his family at risk. And then Willian came out. Obviously, we were linked to Willian when Mourinho was our coach. He says the majority of Premier League players uncomfortable about returning. So without the players, you don't have the game. So I do think at the end of the day, they'll look at Germany, they'll see how that's going, and that will give them confidence to come back. I mean, I haven't heard anything from Manchester United players. Right, we have Chelsea, we have Watford, we have City with Aguero and Sterling chirping. Nothing from United. So I think the Glazers, ironclad there.
Mom's the word, dude. They're not allowed to speak. I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anyone speak up. They might have been peeps somewhere in the Twitter or Instagram universe, but for the most part, they're keeping their mouths shut. But hey, well, that could change as soon as they come back to training and they see how backwards shit has been. Like everyone's trained separately. I think they went in today and they're probably being given their schedules, right? I think like players are coming in waves throughout the day. So it's gonna be a mess, dude. It's gonna be such a mess in England.
It's gonna be like different phases of training. I wouldn't be so concerned if I was at Manchester United, but if I was at relegated Cardiff City. It would look a lot different.
Or Salford City, imagine trying to do social distancing in Salford City, bro. It's like United's going to be in good position. They have resources. Some of these clubs that are already fighting for financial survival, then they have this thrown into it. It's going to be very difficult, and they're losing out on all their match day revenue. Dude, this is going to be it's a mess. Back to doom and gloom, so I'm starting to think through it. I mean, there's this whole paying back of certain of the TV rights, right? Aren't they already asking for £350 million? So.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of legal battles to come.
I think we're gonna see football. I think we'll get to Liverpool mathematically winning the title. Whether we complete it, I don't know. I have to walk back my. I don't know about 2020. I'll say I think we'll play. I don't know if we'll complete the season. Right? I mean, if something goes terribly wrong in Germany or. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said they're going to do just enough to give Liverpool a title, bro. They'll play 3 games, they'll win the title, and they'll cancel the season. They're like, that's it.
Conspiracy.
Always.
Well, speaking of the Glazers and Manchester United, I thought it was funny we would shout this out in the podcast. Somehow the American Red Devils podcast and our website ended up on the United PR radar. So we're getting official club communications. I don't know how they found us, the 2 guys and the dog out here in the United States, but we get official club communications embargoed
for now.
Press releases, sir. So I was like, if they just clicked on our website and they saw the clown shirt with the Glazers out, I'm sure they wouldn't be sending it our way, but somebody put us on some list. So I thought that was a funny update for the podcast listeners there.
We'll see how long that lasts for, but like you said, as soon as they see the Glazer out, Woodward out gear, they might be changing their tune. So we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, it's one of those things where as a podcast and have independent fan content, it's like you have the journalists in the UK like Simon Stone sucking up to Manchester United saying whatever the club wants them to say because they need to get that inside info. For us, it's like we just have to be completely not biased, right? So as far as Manchester United goes, I actually think they've done a good job with PR. They've done everything right with the staff during the COVID outbreak. So you got to give them props where props is due. I'm not only going to throw negative criticism like some people on Twitter. I think they've done a great job. So if they send us some nice PR stuff, we're
turning our tune.
We're not trolls.
We're softening in quarantine. I would agree. They have nailed the PR of everything with COVID, paying the staff to just like supporting the community in Manchester, delivering lots of meals. I mean, they're nailing it. So like you said, we've criticized the management a lot on this pod, and rightly so. But they have handled this well. Hopefully they continue to invest in the team. They got to fix up Old Trafford. They got to start paying match day staff appropriately, but in the right direction at least. Positive steps.
I mean, if United, if they're so keen where they manage the PR through this whole thing and they're able to cut some really good deals, and we get Grealish, we keep Paul P, we get another striker. I mean, they do good business and they take advantage of this time to get back to number one. And we go, I mean, like, I have nothing to say, right? But if they kind of like use this time as an excuse not to spend and we keep becoming sixth, I mean, they deserve criticism, right? I mean, they do deserve criticism for not buying that defender when Jose Mourinho wanted him. I mean, they have the money. They got to deploy the capital. We
could criticize the Glazers all day, but they're at a very important inflection period. They've just started spending money, and if they stop now, then it's all going to fall apart. They need to keep throwing cash in that coffer, make the turnover they need, get some of those last players out, get a couple more players in, and we're in a position to compete. It's just that, like, you know, this could motivate them to get cheap, but you'd think that there are deals to be had. Like, people are going to be hurting after the season ends, the window opens, whenever it does. I would imagine in July, August. I don't know.
Hey, actions speak louder than words, man. People can write about it all day long. Oh, they're going to spend a ton of money. They're going to take advantage of this time. They're going to use this crisis to be top of the table. All this press speak. It's just like, go out and buy the players, right? You want to impress me? Buy Jadon Sancho for $100 million in a global pandemic. I mean, there's no way I think they would do that. But if they did, that would really send a signal like, okay, they're not messing around here. That's great. So they got Tom Brady to Tampa Bay, sir. So, you know.
I mean, I think they're going to make us wait on Sancho. I sadly think so, just because I don't think they're going to splunk $100 million this summer, and I don't think Dortmund are going to back down on their price when the guy's 20 years old, right, and is on a long-term contract. So I think they're going to make us sweat it out, even if that means we have to wait a year. We pick up Grealish, keep Pogba. We could be in good shape.
You know, and also so goes football, so goes the transfer window. Like, if we can't play this season, I don't think we're buying a lot of people. So.
No, you're right.
All right, well, let's jump in. We have a classic match breakdown. Manchester United 5, Cardiff City 1. Sir, have you visited Malaysia since you saw that jersey from Cardiff City?
Haven't made it. I haven't even visited Cardiff, sir. I'm like, haven't seen Wales yet, but it's on the list.
I was like, what would you rather have, the Visit Malaysia sponsor or a Chevrolet?
Visit Malaysia. Are you kidding me? At least it's all white. I was like thinking about it today watching this game. I was like, I think the whole era of Chevy has been bad. You know, we won a couple pieces of silverware, haven't challenged for the Premier League. The sooner we get a new sponsor, the better. That grill, bro, ain't helping us.
And they pay a lot of money. I mean, so you don't like the Adidas kit, you don't like Chevrolet. Nope. They pay us a lot of money. You know, I did the Nike kits. Oh. Like, I was wearing my Nani, and it's on behind the badge. The Nike kit says "Relentless" on the back.
I know, they were so cool. They were so cool.
I mean, it's just
the new kit. Have you seen the bus seat kit? That new kit coming out? It's like the bad Belgium knockoff kit. It's bad. It's really bad.
I get what they're going for. I mean, like, look, the one that's bad is the zebra. Like, the red one, the red one's not good. I get they're going. I mean, if you're say 2021, if you were in 2010 and you said this would be Manchester United's jersey in 2021, you'd probably be like, yeah, that's like modern. It has this type of kind of like, they're pushing it. I get it, but then to like have the zebra, it's like, what do you mean? Like, who's in charge? I mean, like, you know,
the zebra, bro. Oh, that's gonna be brutal. What's the other kit?
Hey, it might distract the shit.
The gray one, right? There's like
I don't know,
grayish one, gray green. Is that the other kit?
It's like kind of like an army green. I think that'll be the most popular one. It reminds me of the navy blue with the gold.
Oh yeah.
If you recall that, I think you have one of those kits. Your Rashford is that kit, right? It's like the navy. It's a third team navy with gold.
And it makes the Chevy logo blend in well. Anyway, we're off on a tangent, sir. We're talking about kits.
Big tangent. December. We could talk about. We could have a kit podcast. This game was played December 22nd, 2018. It was significant because we had fired the boogeyman Jose Mourinho. Ole's first match. He obviously came in after Jose lost away at Liverpool 3-1. Sir, a lineup. Dave saves role number 1 in net. Ole picks Ashley Young, Lindelof, Phil Jones coming in at center back here. Luke Shaw, left back. Herrera, Matic, Pogba, midfield. Lingard on the right, Rashford in the middle, and Martial on the left. The 4-3-3. I thought this was a bold formation from the new manager. Again, putting Pogba on the right of the midfield. Interesting stuff. I'm sure Matic was supposed to kind of fade back, and Herrera and Pogba would play in a 2. Lingard on the right. This is when Jesse was kind of coming into form under Ole. I do remember these days. And Rashford and Martial absolutely lethal up top. Sir, what do you make of this lineup?
No, I mean, this is actually like the closest glimpse to, I think, where he's headed with this team. You know, obviously you swap out some players, Jones for Maguire, AWB for Young. But I think, you know, obviously Herrera's gone, so maybe you play Matic and Fred with Pogba at the front of that triangle in the midfield with Bruno swapping in for Lingard. And that's a pretty strong team with the players that we have at our disposal right now before getting to Sancho or Grealish or another striker. So there's a lot of talent in this team. Pogba was lights out in this game. I know it was a shit Cardiff side, but he looked like the best player on the pitch, shows what he has.
Why was he lights out?
Because his favorite coach was gone, bro, and he was proving it. He was
show up and have like the best game of all time, and it's literally just a spite.
Yeah, well, spite can be effective in motivating people.
It was like, all right, he's gone. I got to play lights out to make sure that this is the right call.
You watch The Last Dance, bro? It's like Jordan style. It's like whatever it took to get him up for a match. I'm sure this is the same thing for Paul Pogba. He's like, F Jose Mourinho, I'm going to go out and be lights. And he looked lights out all game. He was running around. He's playing defense.
He's like, I'm going to personally be responsible for making sure that everyone says it was the right decision for firing Mourinho because I'm going to play so well during this game that we're going to win. And, like, to be honest, like, he was work rate on the ball. He was in the final third. Just complete beast, link-up play, everything. Perfect. Paul Pogba, one of his best games for Manchester United.
Honestly.
And it's like, for me, I just get disappointed we don't see more out of him. It's just similar like the World Cup final. I mean, once to turn it on, he can. And it's hard to show up every game, understandably. But, you know, there's quite a bit of Yagen towards the end of the season, you know, that I don't think looked like captain material there.
No, I mean, I think he's probably not a captain, and he needs to be motivated by other players around him pushing him. Which, whatever, is what it is. I think we've realized at this point. But you see, like, if he brings it, when he brings it, he is an elite player. Top 5 in the world he can be. But, like, he needs to bring that all the time, and he doesn't.
He could be top 3, honestly.
I mean, he's elite. He's got elite talent, but he doesn't always bring it the way that a Ronaldo and a Messi just bring it year in, year out, every game, no big deal, and they just always perform. And that's the difference. I mean, there's
other world-class players like that. I would say like a Neymar. You know, I mean, he kind of chooses when to show up. You know, it's probably like the next generation isn't as relentless, so to speak. You know, they got a little more Hollywood. You know, they a little more on their mind, sir. A lot of grams.
A lot of grams. Never have enough time for the gram. I mean, we'll see. I think like we got to give him a chance under the new swag that's come in. I think he'll rise to the occasion with Bruno pushing him because Bruno's got an elite mentality, a winner's mentality, and I think that's going to rub off. I think the team is starting to develop it, right? Like all those young players want to win, have tasted a little bit of it, but they really want to push for silverware. So I think that will bring the best out of Paul Pogba. I think part of it is like he kind of did what happened with Rooney towards the tail end of his career, really tail end of Fergie's career, where he kind of slacked off a little bit because he felt the club was not competing by bringing in the best level of talent. And I think that's the only justification I can think of for why Paul Pogba slacked off a little bit is like the team didn't invest appropriately. Now they are. He's not going to leave because nobody's going to pay $30 million a year to pay Paul Pogba. It looks like not in Juventus, maybe at Madrid. But I don't think he's leaving the season, given COVID. But so that could be another like fax machine type thing with De Gea. You can keep Pogba around if things start clicking. You know, the sky's the limit.
I like Paul Pogba. I mean, like we said, this game was one of his best games for Manchester United. I put it in the top 5. But what motivates Paul Pogba? Hatred for Mourinho motivates him. Money doesn't motivate him. Trophies do motivate him. So I have to think you're right in the fact that he probably looks around this team, looks at the situation and says, you know, we're not good enough. And he doesn't want to be that captain kind of pulling up all these other like Andres Pereira in the midfield by his bootstraps. He'd rather just be like, oh, this sucks, I'm out. But, you know, if Manchester United can keep hold of them, improve, get better, and then get to striking distance between trophies, I think that's when we'll see the best of him. And I think next season that's really when we could be getting the best out of Paul P. So I'm hopefully optimistic. and assuming he does not get dealt this summer, which seems unlikely, but there have been some rumblings.
The rumblings are going to continue. I mean, that's kind of the problem, is that he's not sacking his agent anytime soon. Even if we keep Pogba around, there's still going to be rumblings, no matter what. We could be flying high, winning the league. There's still be rumblings, because that's the way real love works.
I think if you win the league, everyone's going to he also hasn't gotten any love in England. He has gotten a lot of hatred, gets it all from the press. There's not really a lot of good articles written about him. I think we won under Mourinho that one season, the EFL, and then obviously, the European trophy you don't want to win. There was a lot of positive talk about him. They also had Ibrahimovic to talk about as well. So everything's kind of turned since then. He's kind of been the main man. Now Bruno came in on a big fee. Hopefully they sign, Sancho. There'll be more criticism to go around, and he won't necessarily be the target. But he's had a hard run at United.
No, he has. And I think part of it's shame on us. Part of it's shame on him. It's been a rocky road, right? Coming in for that fee is a hard thing to live down, especially when people are expecting you to bang in goals from midfield. So he's right now at the point where he should be the top of his career, dude. 27, 28 for a midfielder is when you kind of hit your full-on stride. I hope Bruno kind of replaces the Zlatan factor. I think when Zlatan was around, it pushed Pogba to his max, showed what kind of player he can be. Obviously, the players he had at Juventus did the same. Bruno will hopefully just drive him to get better and start playing at that high caliber again week in, week out.
So we should name the podcast The Paul Pog Show.
Let's please not. Let's not say we did.
Quite the Pog tangent, sir. Let's jump in here. Cardiff City versus Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, United looking dangerous from the jump. Didn't take long, going straight on the front foot from the start of the game. And in the third minute, from a free kick drawn by none other than Paul Pogba.
It's going to be Marcus Rashford. A sizzling strike! Oh, what a strike! And it takes 3 minutes of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reign for Manchester United to score. Marcus Rashford with a stunning drive.
Marcus Rashford with a stunning drive, sir. Like he said, didn't take long for United to get off on the front foot with Ole in charge. Rashford with an early goal.
I mean, if I was going to be a caretaker manager of Manchester United, my first game had a 3rd-minute goal away. I mean, this is just everything you need. I mean, this seems like Jose Mourinho, who? The team's back and running. Everyone's feeling it. And Paul Pogba especially. I mean, he stepped over the ball. I think the keeper got distracted. Rashford, brilliant free kick. Starting to see him convert some of these more often and get to that Ronaldo level hopefully next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was showing emergence of that this season for sure. Obviously, that goal against Chelsea away comes to mind, that cracker. But he's developing into some kind of player. And then 29th minute, sir, if luck is on your side, this is one of those goals that you wish would go in every day.
Herrera fancies the shot. Yeah. Oh, what a hit! Cut across it, 25 yards out, into the top corner. Manchester United flourishing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Herrera with a screamer. And United have 2 now.
And Herrera with a screamer. Look at Ole celebrating. Why not? All set up through the great pass from Paul Pogba. Finds Herrera. Have a go, lad. Why not? Gets a fortuitous flick off the defender and just loops over the goalie into the back corner. That's the kind of luck that United had behind it during this initial run from Ole. Things just they all dropped our way.
Written in the stars, sir. Written in the stars, but kind of tripped up there in the 31st minute. Penalty to Cardiff. Rashford with a handball. What do you think about this one? It was on the fence, pre-VAR, obviously.
That's true. I forgot it's pre-VAR. I thought this was a little unfair, to be honest. I thought it was a little high. It felt like a shoulder, and it didn't feel like blocking the ball in the box. The context that they usually give handball penalties. So I was. Actually, I was surprised.
He moved his shoulder too much. It was kind of
leaned into it
a little bit. It was on the fence. I'm sure VAR. I don't know what VAR would have said. I didn't get too good of a look at it. But penalty to Cardiff, converted. De Gea, not the best penalty keeper, as we know.
That was a crack.
2-1.
That was a hell of a penalty, by the way. It was that is an unstoppable penalty. So to be fair,
oh, Spaniard on Spaniard crime, sir. We were nervous, kind of a little shaky after this one. Can we let Cardiff back in it?
And then in the 41st minute, sir, some of the finest football we've played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What a goal.
And United get a third before half-time. They're working brilliant nicely. Martial's in. Can he finish? Oh, magnificent football. Manchester United
Magnificent.
are cutting through this Cardiff side. Oh, they're playing some glorious stuff. What a half of football we've seen here, and they lead 3-1. Brilliant stuff.
What a goal, what a finish. Playing that one-touch football like they were playing all game, which was a nice change from the kind of the slow build-up that we saw so often under Jose. It was nice to be direct and attacking throughout. This was a fun game to rewatch, sir.
I mean, Martial gets the ball, was in the middle of the pitch, runs down. Was it Lingard, Pogba, Martial? Basically, what a finish off the left post and in. I mean, we don't see this from United. This is like vintage Arsenal right here. And this kind of made me remember like how Lingard was so integral into this run that Ole would go on, the undefeated run. He played absolutely lights out, and this game kind of shows him at his best. And I just don't know what happened to that Lingard. It's like he got injured in the PSG game that we went to, the home fixture, and kind of disappeared since then, and is almost kind of like out the door at United. But if you recall, like he was in some great form during this period.
He had glimpses of it. I thought like this is probably the best moment he had in the game. He was definitely, I don't think the star player, if you compare him to say Rashford, Martial, or Pogba, but a 10 is so
part of
important.
the attacking trio, fast,
Fast, but he loses the ball quite a bit. Doesn't always make the right pass.
Look at that.
The shooting's been off. Sir, I'm slating Lingard. Because Lingard is just
dude. He played well for this stretch.
He did.
He
But
played
then he
well
disappeared
for this stretch from December 22nd, 2018. I'm going to say all the way till probably early March.
He was hurt in that PSG game.
Integral part of this Ole run.
He was, because you need a good 10 for the way Ole likes to play in that fast counter-attacking style. So that's why when he slowed down, fizzled out, say at the end of March, and didn't really regain form again, it was so important to get Bruno in, because once he did, that's what we've been missing. We needed that injection of quality up front, because that's how you break down teams that are going to sit back like teams like to do against United.
So we go in halftime 3-1 up. How you feeling?
More of the same. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep playing quick, attacking football, and you'll get your chances.
Stomp on them, sir. Let's hear it. Second half.
United started the second half like they finished the first, rampant, looking to attack. And then in the 55th minute, it's your boy, sir, Jesse Lingard.
Hurdles a couple of challenges. Went down. Penalty. Right on the spot, you have to say, Michael Oliver. Jesse Lingard against Etheridge. Lingard! Confidence you like. And Manchester United have 4.
Good penalty, to be honest, from Lingard. Way to draw it.
Slating the man.
I know. This is one of his best games. It's unfair to slate him. He just cooled off. It's unbelievable. And we could have used him through the rest of this stretch, but he did have a strong game.
Jesse Lingard, he's like all the negatives about Paul Pogba without any of the talent.
Yeah. A young player. He's a young 28. Anyway.
Like a young 28.
Very young 28. Acts like it. 63rd minute. Great chance for Rashford after a buccaneering run from Lindelof. Some really good stuff from him, just charging from the back line. And Rashford almost with a nice chance at the far post. Pogba takes a nice hit from the outside in the 70th minute, denied by the keeper. And then we did some subs. Fred came on for Rashford in the 79th minute. What do you think of the outing for the young English lad in this game?
I think it was the right call. Obviously, Fred coming on. Ole would stick with Fred. He sees something in him. And, I slated Fred for the longest time.
You certainly did.
He took a little too long to come good. But, with a year and a half, starts picking up form, gets a lot of minutes in the midfield, and he steps up. So, Fred started from the bottom. I mean, Ole really believed in him, and, that's good for Jose hated Fred. So
Jose signed Fred. Jose signed Fred for $50 million.
I know.
Probably only because City were after him. But
anyway,
the
way he does it, Jose basically he makes you feel terrible about yourself to try to motivate yourself to prove him wrong, and that doesn't work with everyone. Paul Pogba.
No, it doesn't. But whatever they've done with Fred, I think Carrick has played an integral part of it, has worked. He needed minutes, and he needed to gain his confidence back, and now we've got a nice, strong midfield option in the middle of the park. So we're going to have lots of options in midfield when we get back to football. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, Fred and Pogba in the midfield, sir. You know, that's
Matic too, bro. Matic has been great. He was great in this game. You asked Rick the Red, bro. He said Matic is his first pick in the starting 11, sir. You don't drop him. Undroppable. Anyway, 86.
Hey, when you're a fanboy, you're a fanboy, sir.
So, I like Matic is a hell of a player, bro. Anyway, 86-minute Pereira and Fellaini on for Matic and Martial. That was it for Fellaini, bro. He was dealt a couple weeks later in January, as you remember. One of the first departures for Ole at the club. And I didn't agree with that move. I think we could have used him in the last stretch of the season for sure. But I don't know how you feel, because he was definitely a divisive player.
He cut his fro off and then was dealt.
The fro was lucky.
His marketability just went to zero. As soon as you cut the fro off, all you guys at ugly mug, get him out of the club. We can't sell any noodles. We can't sell nothing, sir. That's what that word says.
That was it. Marketability went all the way down. I did like the fro. And anyway, United were not done yet, sir. United were not done yet. In the 90th minute, it's your ball. 90th minute, your ball. Paul Pogba passing to your other boy, Jesse Lingard. Here we go.
Nice through ball, keeper comes out. There we go. 5-star Manchester United. For the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, Manchester United score 5 in a league.
For the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. It was a long time coming. And a good little run, good little pass, and way to go around the keeper and dunk it home for Jesse Lingard. I think this was peak Lingard, and then it was all downhill from here, sir.
No, I'm telling you, he played very well. I remember going to that PSG game at home, Champions League nights, Old Trafford, and being so pumped to watch Jesse Lingard play. And it was peak Lingard during this form. I mean, he was sharp, was on point, provided good rotation for Ole, and after that, it's been completely downhill, sir. Ever since that song, that Lingard rap song, has been completely downhill for the lad. Hopefully,
rap songs never turn out well. Rap songs are never a good idea for a football player.
It was a good song.
Was it?
I
can't imagine.
We played it on the pod. We played it on the pod. So,
I don't recall.
I didn't buy a Lingard jersey, sir.
Yeah, neither did I. Neither did I. And never will. Anyway, match reaction, sir. Possession, Cardiff had 28% of the ball. United had 72%. Shots on target, Cardiff had 2 to United's 8. So they were productive. Manchester United scored 5+ goals in a Premier League game for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson's final match in charge in May 2013. That famous 5-5 draw against West Brom. Remember it well. Lukaku with a hat trick off the bench, if I'm remembering correctly. Back to scoring 5+, sir.
5+ in winning, and that's how great of a manager Sir Alex was. He scored 5 and tie.
That was quite a match to end his career on. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club, 4 of the 5 different managers to take charge of Manchester United have seen their side score 3+ goals in their first Premier League game. Moyes with 4, Mourinho with 3, Giggs with 4, and Solskjaer with 5. Whew, they all like to prove it with the first game out of the blocks. No one cares about Cardiff.
And Sir Alex Ferguson lost his first game in charge, first league match in charge of Manchester United, if you would believe it.
That is true. And Martial has been directly involved in 70 goals for Manchester United in all competitions, 45 goals, 25 assists, the most of any player for the club since his debut in September of 2015. And at this point in the season, Rashford has had his hand in more Premier League goals this season than any Manchester United player, 9, 4 goals, and 5 assists. And obviously, he would carry that solid form into next season, having an absolute belter of a year until he broke his back in 2 places from playing too many games.
Red hot Rashford, sir. Let's hear from the manager.
Let's hear from the manager. All smiles. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
What positives can you take from today?
There's quite a few to be fair. There's quite a few. The attitude and application of the boys. When you go out there and you see them, the attitude's been fantastic. The dressing room, the way they approach this game, just throughout, because it's been a difficult week for everyone, and to get the focus and perform as well as they did, impressed.
Simon, what did you think when the game kicks off and you're manager of Manchester United? What does that feel when that goal goes in so early? What are you feeling there?
I don't know what you feel, but you feel they've made me comfortable settling in quickly, the boys. Of course, you're excited when you meet new people, but of course, I know the club, I know the staff, so I've had some great days now. But the players, they've gone out there, and of course, Rash, he's got a great strike in him, and he's got that swirl, so it's difficult for the keeper. When you get that goal, you think, wow, now we can settle down and play, because that was key today, the first 15, 20 minutes, because we know the energy of the crowd here. I've been here myself. The players, we knew they were going to come long, and first balls, second balls, and I thought Victor and Phil at the back, they won so many headers that ended up down into midfield instead of a flick on, and that was great to see.
Steve?
Sir, what do you make of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first press conference post-win?
I mean, that's the real Ole right there. There's no pressure. He doesn't have the job. He's happy that they won, and you can just hear it. I mean, he's like, there's no filter. There's, now he plays a little more of the games, he kind of blames things, kind of deflects a little bit, but that's just vintage Ole. I could listen to that all day. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
All day, baby.
Talking about the win.
Positivity, right? He's talking about how players have been a joy. They're all in great moods since Mourinho got sacked.
Well, it's interesting to hear, like we've talked about the different Oles, right? We talked about, the Oles obviously as of late. Then we talked about the PSG Ole. Then you have this Ole. He's kind of changes over time, and this one being probably the most authentic, right? Because again, he's not the manager. There's no pressure. He's just coming in, doing a job. He's going to leave. Pochettino's coming in again. NBC, LFC, Arlo White. We tweet him on Twitter. He responds to us every once in a while. We tell him he's not doing a good job. Essentially, they said Pochettino is expected to come in as the manager of Manchester United. I mean, we were going to pay Tottenham big money for Pochettino. Again, we're still linked with Pochettino this year, right? Obviously, he left Tottenham since then. But, Poch waiting in the wings, and I have to think it's Ole's job. It's Ole's job right now.
It's Ole's job. I mean, I think most people would agree with that. Poch seems to be join the new Newcastle project with their big money spending, so that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But how much has changed since then? It's amazing. You're right. Like, talking so honestly, just because what's the pressure? I haven't won the job yet. I'm just enjoying myself here. It's good to be back, and the boys are playing well. So he's gone through a huge maturation in terms of like his attitude towards the press and just his tactical aptitude in a game. So that's what you're going to get with a young manager. Necessarily, was that the right thing for Manchester United from the jump? We will see. But he's still evolving. So I think he's going to become an even better manager, sir, going forward.
No, absolutely. And it's funny because if you look at Jose Mourinho, we were 6th place when he was sacked, lost Liverpool away. Jose lost 5 games. And then Ole obviously had that famous run. But right after that, we lost to Arsenal, and then it was completely downhill from there. Ended up finishing in the same 6th place where Jose Mourinho was fired. Obviously, this year, we've kind of been dancing around. The lowest we hit 12th place when we lost away at Newcastle. I remember that day very well. We hit 10th, losing Bournemouth away, the original game we were supposed to go to, but my son was born early. And then, it's been a slow ride. We still hit the snags. We lost 3 and 4 from January 1st to January 22nd. Arsenal lost, beat Norwich at home. Liverpool lost. Burnley lost.
I remember that.
Right.
That was rough before the transfers came in.
We drew Wolves, beat Chelsea, beat Watford, Everton, beat them, beat City, sir. So you remember that. It's like the pressure post-Liverpool, losing to Burnley, and then you're like, you got to beat City. Now you have Tottenham. So for me, Ole's, I support the man because I like him so much. I think that's also part of why you make him the permanent manager, because there's so much sort of fan lore there. But this season hasn't been easy either. We remember the last 4, but it hasn't been too easy for Manchester United this season either.
Well, remember the last 11, right? That run he went on, of course, but it was marked by ups and downs. People were talking about taking his head around Christmas when it was really a rough patch. Paul Goodman out. When Rashford went down, it looked bleak. And then the team kind of cobbled it together after going through that really rough patch in January. Players started coming back into the fold. Bruno showed up. Galu showed up, and all of a sudden the boys were lights out, winning every match, especially that City at home match, 2-0 with McTominay. Like the last time, Old Trafford's going to be roaring for a long time. I wanted to see how
It's
they played out the
games
year. I
we
want to
won.
see how they
We won
play the
the
year. I
big
wanted to
games.
see another transfer window. It's like there's still so much left to be had because we're still relatively new into the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reign. It's only been a year and a half. And I know we're used to managers changing so rapidly, but like in the old days, you used to give managers years before you give them the sack. So it's nice that we're giving them a little extra time.
No, I like Ole. It's one of those things where I feel much better than the numbers suggest.
Yes, I would agree.
For whatever reason, and obviously we've been unbeaten in a long time. We do have, we have Lask, right? We have Derby in there, Bruges, right? 2 Bruges matches.
Yeah, but we also have Chelsea, City.
Tranmere's in there.
That was a big win.
pitch?
That was a big win. That Tranmere match was huge because that's when sentiment was really bad. Ole, I mean, they said if he lost that match, he was gone.
Yeah. So I mean, like you look at where we started and kind of we've been on another good run again. But at the end of the day, like I think I said, you got to give him the full year, but you got to see kind of what he comes up with. And as a Manchester United fan, we've been talking about these COVID updates. And now football might be back. I'm kind of worried. Like I'm worried because we have so much to do. Like based on the form we were at the moment with Bruno, we could do no wrong. I felt confident we can make top 4 or win Europa League. But now, given the break, it seems like it's almost unfair to us to start again, right?
Well, I mean, everyone's going to be in the same position. Everyone's coming back from zero. So I think with all that said, we have a strong team now. And I think the morale is high. I think people are building around this new identity. And the players that are there, for the most part, bar 1 or 2, want to be there, want to fight for the badge. We're all going to be coming from the same position of zero. So I think once they can get their feet underneath them, get some good training in, this is a good squad, dude, with some good options. Now it's about Ole figuring out what the right mix is because someone's going to get benched that, a year ago was probably not conceivable that they get benched because he's got options. Fred's in form, Matic is in form, Pogba's back, McTominay is always looking dangerous. So he has choices, and that's going to be hard.
I know. But sir, we're talking 9 games left. United on 45 points, 29 games. Chelsea 48 points.
We're
then
45.
you have Wolverhampton
43
back. Sheffield United game in hand 43, Tottenham 41, Arsenal game in hand 40. So you're looking at if Sheffield United and Arsenal win their game in hand, you're looking at Chelsea 48, Sheffield United 46, United 45, Wolves 43, and Arsenal 43. That's how tight it is, and you're coming back from nothing.
So are they, though.
And it's all to play for. It's going to be so nervy.
I know.
There's going to be no fans. I'm going to be sweating on my couch. So I've enjoyed these, we know we're going to win rewatches.
Yeah, they're all classics.
And now all of a sudden it's all on the line. I don't know if my heart can take it because, if we finish 6th again, fans are going to be pissed. Imagine we go from this run and then we don't make it again. It's
people are going to be mad.
What do you think? People are going to be calling for Ole's head?
Let's see how the games play out. Let's see if everyone stays healthy, if the boys play like shit or if the boys play really well, lose some games. I mean, we don't know. The teams around us, are they going to fall apart like they did last season, or are they going to play lights out and go on runs that are going to keep us out of it? So who knows, sir? Who knows how this all is going to play out?
All I gotta say is I remember when Sir Alex was at the helm and Arsenal got top 4 and they were celebrating in the locker room. We all laughed. And then we're like, I can't believe they're celebrating top 4.
Yeah,
what a weak mentality.
That's
and then
us.
Now we're imagine we made top 4. We'd be celebrating like crazy.
Baby steps,
Obviously,
bro. You start with top 4, and then next year we're competing for the title. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but I think we should be competing.
All right, brother, let's jump in. United in the news. Your boy, Wayne Rooney, shots fired at Sir Alex Ferguson. He said about LVG, said the Dutch boss taught him more than any manager, including Sir Alex Ferguson, sir. He says he thought LVG was fired too early. I think Rooney liked LVG because he let him get blackout drunk for any match. Didn't care. He was like, go drunk drive, VW bus, go down to the pub, do whatever you want. I think that's the type of manager LVG was. It's probably why he liked him.
I mean, he doesn't always call it right. He's my favorite player of all time, but I think this is right. I think Fergie was hard on him, drove the shit out of him, and LVG was like, "You're a star. You're Wayne Rooney, the captain of the team. Whatever, just show up." He had some decent performances, but it was the right move to sack LVG when we did, dude. He was, in terms of transfers, he was the worst manager we've had because he had a big kitty and he fucking blew it in a way that even Moyes wasn't able to do. So the players he sold, the players he got in were just disastrous to this club, put us behind for many years. So I don't agree. I don't agree with Wayne Rooney on this, but it must be the blackout, getting blackout drunk and not having to answer to anyone.
What was he on? Like he was on England duty, and they were at some hotel, and there was a wedding there, and there was photos and videos of him just like literally like BO'd on a couch at some random dude's wedding, and then Wayne Rooney's like criticizing Sir Alex Ferguson, right? You know, it makes no sense to me. Rooney, you're a dog. I get it, but it seems to me he wants to I think he wants to manage one day.
Yeah.
I think he has that idea of like proving Sir Alex a little wrong, because at the end of the day, I remember like Sir Alex Ferguson put him in his place. He leaked that he wanted to leave, and like everyone, like it kind of crushed a lot of fan relationships with Rooney. Kind of crushed, put a little like mark, a skid mark, if you will, on the remainder of his United career. Sir,
it's soured.
Sorry. Yeah, when he broke Sir Bobby Charlton's record, it was kind of like.
It was better then. No,
he
but
wasn't really loyal.
At the end with Fergie, 2011, 12, 13. Rooney, rightly so, questioned the team's ambition because they weren't spending the way they should have been spending, especially after they sold Ronaldo. We weren't spending nearly enough money to compete with our neighbors. City were flying high, right? We were in the Aguero deal, but weren't willing to pay £34 million for him when, like, obviously that was the right move to get him. I think if his career ended then, it would have ended on a black mark. But I think given that he was pretty instrumental with LVG to a certain extent, Moyes, and even Mourinho for a year, if I remember correctly, he kind of like changed things around and left in a high note, broke the record, and I think things have been rosier. But there was some bad bloody days.
Dude, Sir Alex always had the hand, though.
Always.
He always had a hand on Wayne Rooney, right? He put Rooney in his place a little bit, and I think that's why Rooney likes to kind of chirp him since he left. I think you look at Sir Alex Ferguson, that relationship with Rooney, it's not, I wouldn't say it's warm. Him and Ronaldo is much warmer than it was. It's kind of interesting conflict there to have Wayne Rooney, the United all-time goal scorer, won everything under Sir Alex, and still not quite be on the same page. It's kind of strange.
It happens, sir. I think Ronaldo's
it's your boy.
Ronaldo's kissing the ring, bro. And Rooney's, Rooney does what Rooney wants. He's gonna get BO'd and hook him with a random chick at a wedding. That's what he does.
Yeah, like a legend. I mean, like he also famously he was taking pills and boozing on a flight in MLS, and he got picked up by the cops in like Dallas airport. Like Wayne Rooney criticizing.
He's having a good time. Why not?
He's like, wrong meds.
No, he was at the airport. He got like blitzed at an airport.
To get arrested.
It's very English. It's very English.
It's like you had to be like, sir, are you all right? Like you're worth millions of dollars. Like, what are you doing?
He's like in first class.
Doing,
yeah. I think it was. It must have been quite a scene. It must have been quite a scene.
Imagine being in the airport. You see it. You're like, what's wrong with that dude? He was like, is that Wayne Rooney?
Fucking blackout? Yeah, at an airport.
DC United until I die, right, sir? Huh?
You got it.
Wayne Rooney. Next bit of news. Manchester United apparently interested in Raul Jimenez. Heard this one before. I mean, this is just clickbait. I have to think. Same thing here. 52 million rated Inter Milan Skriniar defender. I don't think these are high likelihood moves. I'm just going to gloss over them here in the news. Just some clickbait.
Raul is the one that like people say might have legs because everyone thinks Gallo is going to get pushed out, not happen. But Jimenez, great striker, but 60 million for a 29-year-old is crazy. Wolves are going to make us pull out of the pay out of the odds. So that makes no sense.
Well, they don't need to sell. They got a lot of cash. They don't need to sell. Look, I like him. He's a Mexican, right? He's got great, scores good goals, but at the end of the day, we've been linked with him for months, so it's one of those things where it's hard to tell because one camp is definitely leaking. The next bit of news I thought was interesting was Mbappe is not pushing to leave PSG, and if Mbappe's not looking to leave PSG, essentially that might mean Paul Pogba might be on the docket. I thought originally Real Madrid were interested in Mbappe, and they weren't going to move for Paul P. Now there's kind of some inklings coming out of Spain saying Madrid might be interested. At least Zidane, I know, is interested, as well as Juventus are kind of thinking about doing a swap deal. We've heard that for a long time as well. But again, some chirping around Paul Pogba, sir. A little chirp. I don't know.
Never stops, sir. There's always some chirping around Paul Pogba.
I think he's going to stay. I'd be surprised if he left pre-COVID. I would have said absolutely he's going to leave. Now COVID, I don't think anyone's going to pay the money for him.
No, I would agree, especially because you have a huge wage, and apparently they're capping all Juventus salaries at £15 million. Pogba is going for double that, so I don't think that happens. And definitely not this year, not with COVID. No one's going to pay £100 million. So he seems to be staying around. Hopefully he can be part of the resurgence.
Well, I think so. I really do. So I'm like, I can't focus on the pod because I'm nervous about actually playing these games now that I looked at our schedule and the table. Like, I've actually done the math, and now I'm just like, how are we
everything left to
pay
pay for? Everything left to play for. It's going to be very
I know,
exciting.
but it's just so nervous. It makes me so nervous. I was very confident.
No fans, which is such a bummer, man, because you could hear the fans at the Cardiff Stadium just cheering their ass off. Who put the goal? Who put the ball in the Germans' net? And it's just, you're not going to have any of that, which is such a bummer because fans do make the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fans do make the game, and otherwise it's just training. But, sir, that has been the pod. It's been real. Another breakdown classic match, COVID updates, transfer news, some tangents there.
Couple
Miss
tangents.
being in the bunker.
Couple tangents.
Miss being in the
bunker
bunker
looks great, sir. It's a beautiful sunny day in the Bay. Miss you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe. But bunker is not the same with one person. Bunker should have multiple people. That's why they call it a bunker.
Yeah, and shout out to all the American Red Devils fans. Hope you're staying safe and doing well.
We got some top downloads this week, sir, and we got some goodies, some new entries. Should I do it?
Shout them out. I can't wait to hear these pronunciations.
Sir, number one, how you doing? Ringsted, Denmark. Number 2, Harlan, Texas. Number 3, San Francisco, California. You want me to keep going, sir? Finish the list?
You ask me every time, but you're finishing the list, sir.
Number 4, Wednesday 4, Brazil. Number 5, Bend, Oregon. Number 6, Stavanger, Norway. We got an international board today. Appreciate that. Number 7, Cambridge, Canada. Number 8, Marshfield, Wisconsin. Number 9, American Fork, Utah. And last but not least, Florence, South Carolina. Appreciate all the downloads. Appreciate everybody listening in during this football hiatus. We're making the most of it. Going back into the archives and pulled out some old matches. Ole's first game in charge. It was a good watch. I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. Don't forget to drop a review for that hoodie giveaway on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. Helps the pod a lot, sir. And if you want some merchandise, you can go to americanreddevils.com, click on store. Don't tell the official Manchester United PR department that we're selling Glazers Out stuff, because then they'll stop sending us the news.
And I can't wait to see what they come up with. I want to. What's the over under how long the embargo lasts? I don't even think we make it to June. We're gonna sniff us out by then.
We'll be cut soon enough, sir, as we should be. Again, hoping everyone stays safe out there. Thanks for the downloads. Appreciate everyone very much, sir. How good does it feel?
Always at the wheel.